A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper class with me for today. That's 12th February 2026. So, here are about 6 articles that I have picked up from the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition for you. And these articles, beginning from the editorial page, that's page number 8, eventually talk about a mix of various events. Say, for example, we are looking into Brazil today, not just India Brazil relations, as the Brazilian president is now going to visit India. India is also going to be the chair of the BRICS summit this year. So, all that is there. But then, apart from that, also let's understand Brazil, some important UPSC facts about Brazil through the map of Brazil. And apart from that, we shall be looking at a very interesting news from page number 1 that is about Tamil Brahmi inscriptions that have been found in Egypt. Again, related to art, culture, archaeology, we shall look into that. Then we talk about inflation from the editorial page, as well as we are looking into special intensive revision. Some controversies about that. And before I can start with the detailed breakdown of today's news events, here's the QR code for our Telegram channel. A growing community, all because of your love and your support, where soon we shall also be launching our Zoom series that will totally revolutionize the way we are preparing for UPSC exam by offering you a series of classes that could be one-on-one class, it could be group class, it could be about current affairs, about comprehension, about reasoning and data interpretation, essay writing, and so many more such topics coming up, all to be posted in Telegram. So you can use the QR code from here. And now to the first article for the day, which is editorial, which is page number 8, and that is saying judicial drift in special intensive revision hearing. So if I was to peg this to a UPSC syllabus topic, I would say this is GS paper 2 because this is polity and governance. We are looking at certain insights given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. We are also looking at the Election Commission of India. Some special articles like Article 324 and Article 326 of the Indian Constitution. And before we start a detailed analysis, as a protocol, let me welcome my students on board. So, a very good morning to my dear Sumit, to Kamanya, to aspirant Ramu, Shlok, Madhav, Sitaram, Kaizen, Kritik, Pranarithi. Then aspirant Santosh, Adi, Ashish, Aman, Madhav, yes, Diya, Apex, Kinomi, Madhav. And as other students keep joining in, let us now proceed with today's articles. Vikash, and Vikash is already informing us about the key milestones that we need to cover in this article. Yes, Article 324, 326, of course. And then the Representation of People Act 1951, as well as the Electoral Rules Act. Also, we shall look into that. So, very good morning once again, Sitaram, Madhav, everyone. And as more and more students keep joining, let's now break down the first article for the day from the editorial page. What is this article trying to say? Yes, the article is looking at the controversy about special intensive revision. We have discussed earlier that the Election Commission of India, a body that is pertaining to Article 324 and 326 of the Indian Constitution, has this duty that whenever it feels now the time has come to upgrade or to update electoral rules, it shall conduct either a summary revision or it can also conduct a special intensive revision. Now, a summary revision is more affordable. It can be done at regular intervals to check for minor omissions, to check for minor corrections in the electoral voter list. But if you need to do something, a proper correction from scratch itself, then you'll have to go for special intensive revision. The whole debate picked up from 2025 as Bihar underwent the SIR exercise much before Bihar Legislative Assembly polls. A lot of people were arguing, why does Bihar need a special intensive revision? Why not a routine, summary short-term revision? Answer was very clear. About 21 years were over and Bihar had never experienced a kind of proper upgradation of electoral rules. Now, electoral rules are the basic necessity. When it comes to casting your vote in the election, only those names that have been authenticized and legitimized in the electoral voter roll are liable to give their vote. But then giving your vote is also a fundamental right, not just a political duty, also a political right that we have in India. So nobody should be denied the right to vote. Nobody can be disenfranchised. And still, we saw in Bihar there were multiple problems. Especially migrant laborers and women were experiencing routine exclusions from the voter ID. Something similar was visible in, say, Tamil Nadu. A similar trend was observed in many more states, but the Election Commission of India said we will have the SIR conducted in at least 12 to 14 states in India now, as most of these are going in for election. But the real controversy started as we began conducting SIR in West Bengal. Now, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Miss Mamta Banerjee, she has been very, very critical of this SIR exercise. In fact, in the first week of February, Miss Mamta Banerjee directly went to the Honorable Supreme Court of India. And what did she say? She complained regarding the SIR exercise of electoral roll, and she said they are not being done properly. These SIR exercises are routinely disenfranchising people. People are being troubled in the name of Form 8 and Form 7. So in this article, let's quickly see what is about Form 8. What is Form 7 in the electoral roll preparation? Are these complaints valid? Or ultimately, what's the big controversy between the Supreme Court of India and the Election Commission of India? Absolutely. She went ahead and made an argument out there. Now, very well reminded by few students that ultimately, when there is a question of citizenship, we know Election Commission of India is not the body that has the power to decide who is a citizen and who is not a citizen in India. Ultimately, the power comes from Part 2 of the Indian Constitution that deals with citizenship, Article 5 to Article 11. The power is in the hands of the Home Ministry of India. And all the decisions regarding citizenship are eventually decided on the basis of Citizenship Act 1955. And there is no third person who will decide who and who is not a citizen. But the issue completely is a controversial one. Whether you look at West Bengal today or whether you look at Assam today, Assam is covered under the 1985 Assam Accords. So therefore, in Assam, there is a whole big difference in the way we assess citizenship of individuals. And that is why when the Election Commission of India said, let us have an SIR for Assam also, people rejected the concept, saying that in 2019, Assam has experienced the National Population Register enumeration. Now we do not need a special intensive revision because it will be a repetition of the same thing, a waste of money, and also it causes insecurity among the local citizens, especially the Bangladeshi immigrants in Assam. So for this article, you must also keep in mind NPR, you must keep in mind concepts like SIR, Assam Accords 1985, we have spoken about this, and very valid reminded by Vikash and Kritik and Kojumba. If NRC is one important topic, then in India we do believe in citizenship by jus soli and also just sanguine. That means by blood relation and descent and also by the place of birth. Okay, so well said everyone. Now let's break down the article. So in February 2026, a very interesting thing has happened. In February 26, as SIR was being done in West Bengal, as West Bengal headed towards assembly elections, the West Bengal Chief Minister Miss Mamta Banerjee went to the Supreme Court, the Honorable Court, and raised a complaint about discrepancies in the SIR. She said deliberately, immigrants are being targeted here. They are being targeted and their names are being omitted. Sometimes they are being forced to fill up forms like Form 8, which means their citizenship itself is being questioned. They need to re-register as new citizens, and for every small big discrepancy in paper, in document, because of some digital discrepancy, they are being called, they are being questioned and interrogated. This is raising a question about disenfranchisement. What's the main issue of this article, therefore? Now, looking at the main issue, the Supreme Court also therefore questioned today. Whom did the court question? The Supreme Court questioned Election Commission of India. What did it say? The Supreme Court issued directions to the Election Commission saying that let us reduce the troubles and the hardships that are being faced by citizens during SIR. Let's control. Then the court also said that SIR should not be stopped in any state, however. Now, this therefore is raising another very interesting issue that's new to us. I will introduce that concept to you right now in 2 minutes. First, let's understand that the Honorable Court told the Election Commission, do not make the situation tough for citizens. Try to make it easy. But at the same time, we cannot stop SIR from being conducted in various states. We cannot question the constitutional validity of SIR no matter how many problems are coming in the path. Critics are arguing, therefore, that the Supreme Court is acting like an administrator. The court is not acting like an adjudicator. The court is acting like an administrator. Instead of deciding whether the question is constitutional or not, the Supreme Court today is acting like an administrator who is telling the Election Commission of India what to do and what not to do. A similar thing happened back in 2012, and that was a very serious problem. What was that problem? In 2012, a major issue arose in India that is known as Aadhaar case or Aadhaar card controversy. What was that? Long back in 2012 and 2018, there was a delay that happened in deciding a Supreme Court case. Now, this case was related to the relevance of Aadhaar card. Should we have Aadhaar card? Should it be used as a basic document of proving your citizenship or not? Now, this case began in 2012, but the decision came as late as 2018. 6 years it took for the Honorable Supreme Court to give us a final verdict regarding Aadhaar card. So what happened there? Even in the case of this controversy, court decision came in 2018. But within this 6-year period, Aadhaar already became popular among Indian citizens. Everybody started making Aadhaar card, and Aadhaar became the most widespread document in India, even before the court case emerged. In the case of Aadhaar card, then what happened? The broad Aadhaar program began in 2010 and 2012, and its constitutionality was challenged in the Supreme Court in 2012. But the court gave its judgment in 2018. And which judgment is that? Yes, the court judgment came in 2017-2018. And which famous judgment is that, bache? This judgment is known as Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India, the very famous case which we know, which we also call as the case of right to privacy. Right to privacy is an inherent fundamental right under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. We all know that. 2012, the constitutionality of Aadhaar was challenged. It was only in 2017 and 18 that clarity came from the court. Yes, Ramu, in the form of Puttaswamy judgment versus Union of India. What did the court say? In Puttaswamy case, the Supreme Court said Aadhaar could be mandatory. We can make it mandatory for welfare subsidies, for welfare schemes, but it is not mandatory for private services like mobile connections or bank accounts. But the decision came after 6 years. In the gap of 6 years, Aadhaar already became very, very popular as a document for bank accounts, for subsidies, SIM cards and welfare schemes. It was already a part of so many government schemes and government systems. It was too late to now go by the Puttaswamy verdict. 6 years got wasted in the time. Now what happened? By the time the Supreme Court gave the decision of Puttaswamy, Aadhaar had already become deeply integrated into Indian system. And this creates an issue which is known as fait accompli. This is a new concept I want everybody to learn. What is the concept? Fait accompli. Fait accompli. What is this fait accompli, bacha? Listen very carefully. What is fait accompli? Listen now. Fait accompli is a situation where a policy or an administrative action is implemented so extensively, so widespread it becomes that changing it or reversing it becomes practically difficult, even if its constitutional validity is still under judicial review. Even if it is not constitutionally proven to be valid, still it has become so widespread and popular that now recalling it or cancelling it is not a viable option anymore. And this is known as fait accompli. I want all my students to know about that. Everybody should know this concept, fait accompli. That is what has happened in the case of Aadhaar card. Very good, Ramu. Absolutely. Even before the court is ready to give a jurisdiction on it, it is already accepted by the people widespread, and now you can't change it. There is no option, as Ramu says, but to accept it. Absolutely. Very good. That is fait accompli. Now, this happened in India in the case of Aadhaar card, because by the time its validity was even decided by the Honorable Court in 2018, in the last 6 years from 2012 to 2018, it became the most widespread document being used in India. Now, this is exactly the situation today that we are repeating in the case of SIR, Special Intensive Revision. Very good. Irreversible. Absolutely. What is happening in the case of SIR? Now, the legal question is about the power of Election Commission of India. Under the Representation of People Act, listen carefully. Representation of People Act 1950, the Election Commission of India can conduct special intensive revision for specific constituencies or parts of constituencies, but only for proven recorded reasons. There is one big thing we are learning from here, that the Election Commission can actually conduct an SIR under its power of Representation of People Act 1950. You can do it, but you will have to have a proven or a recorded reason to do that. You have to have a proven or a recorded reason to do that. Without a recorded reason, you can't do that. But right now, the SIR that's being done in 12 states is being done across so many states and UTs. It is being done nationwide. It resembles a mass verification exercise, almost like telling Indian citizens you have to prove your citizenship again. This is not just about correcting or modifying electoral rules. It is about telling Indians that you will have to prove your citizenship all over again. And this has raised a question about Election Commission of India and its powers. Can ECI assume that everyone should prove their voting eligibility? Is ECI the authority to decide who and who is not the Indian citizen? This is in conflict with the earlier Supreme Court verdicts. Example, Lal Babu Hussain versus Electoral Registration Officer case 1995. Under this case, the Supreme Court said mass deletion of voters is not allowed in India. You cannot delete names of voters on a massive scale pan-India. Authorities must issue notice to specific individual and give reason. Why are their citizenship being doubted? Why are you having a suspicion over their citizenship rights? You have to issue a notice and clarify this to the concerned individuals. But the current SIR in India reverses this logic completely. It reverses the verdict of Lal Babu Hussain versus Electoral Registration Officer case 1995, because in the current SIR, you are making all the citizens to prove their eligibility, not just exclusive suspicious cases alone. What are the practical problems here? There are practical problems. Across so many states, there are arbitrary deletions. We all saw what happened in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal. Names of migrant laborers, names of women voters who had migrated because of marriage. More serious in states which have the highest out migration like Bihar, it kept on happening. Arbitrary name deletion from the voter list. Citizens struggling to provide their documents despite being in India since birth. Just solely. There has been a big time misuse of Form 7. What is Form 7? What do you mean by Form 7? Form 7 is a form under Registration of Electoral Rules 1960. Registration of Electoral Rules 1960 has a separate form called Form 7. It is used to object to the inclusion of a person's name in the electoral roll or to request the deletion of a name. That is called Form 7. It is different from Form 8. So, but you don't get confused. What is Form 8? Form 8 is used for correcting or modifying the details in electoral roll. It is not used for deletion. It is only used for modification, like address, age, gender, name. All these can be changed, modified by using Form 8. It's just for modification, only the correction of voter entry, existing entry. But that's not Form 7. Form 7 means it is about inclusion or deletion of a person's name. So that is why it is different. Let's not forget. Deletion, inclusion of a name is Form 7, and only changes and small modifications is Form 8. Okay, wonderful. Clear? Very good, Shlok. Very good. Okay, having said that, now normally the purpose behind Form 7, that is meant to delete or to include names, is to maintain the accuracy of electoral roll. For example, if a person has died, if a person has expired, or the person has permanently migrated from their native, or if the person is not eligible to vote anymore, then their names can be deleted. Or if a person has immigrated into an area permanently, their names can be included. So inclusion and exclusion is Form 7. That's what it is meant about. But today we are misusing that, because during the special intensive revision that was happening in Bihar also, a large number of people's names were totally deleted. They were totally deleted. Groups and communities of names were deleted using Form 7 objections that they are invalid. And what is this doing? This is creating a fear of disenfranchisement. It is reversing the logic of political duty in India to vote. Okay, so that is what is very important. And how does it impact the vulnerable people in India? Of course it does. Now, if you look at correct. People do that all the time, Satya. It's not a one off situation. People are doing this on a routine basis. Fake Aadhaar cards, fake passports are extremely common. But sometimes, while the verification exercise is being done, and if they are caught, then they are called. And if it is found that they were invalid, then indeed Form 7 can be invoked and their name can be deleted. But that happens on a mass scale in India. It is a very common practice. People do that every time. Yes? Yes. Objection of a proposed inclusion. Now that is Form 7. Very, very good. Very good. Amanya. Okay? Absolutely. From Aadhaar to PAN. Everywhere it is being done. Totally. Totally. Correct. Wonderfully said. Same problem. Whether Rajasthan, whether Tamil Nadu, whether West Bengal, whether any other state that you talk about, everywhere we have seen the same trend. Vulnerable people being exclusively targeted. Totally a violation of Article 14, right to equality. It is a violation of right to life itself. Because you are also invading in somebody's privacy. You are completely interrogating valid set of documents. That is every bit about right to privacy. That is what the Puttaswamy verdict was all about back in 2018, before Aadhaar became popular. Okay, now coming back to vulnerable groups, who are the vulnerable? Poor people, EWS, people with benchmark disability, women, migrant laborers of the informal sector, and in them, documentation based verification is a very big challenge. Most of the migrant workers keep on traveling. For example, Bihar, UP, they have a very high out migration rate, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh included. What's the mistake of these people? Now they are working in informal sector. As I told you earlier, they can't even travel back to their homeland to give their vote. Now they are being subjected to Form 7, a total deletion. That's what is happening with them. Similarly, women. Women are generally more into interstate migration because of marriage purposes. And intrastate also, very, very common among women. What happens to them? They are also facing the risk of exclusion and disenfranchisement. Now, this increases inequality, as Apex said. Definitely, it's a violation of Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. You are not giving equality to the marginalized and the vulnerable people. So, how can we conclude this article really? Now, we can conclude this article by saying this SIR that's happening right now is a serious constitutional concern for us. It is not only an administrative issue, it is a big constitutional issue. It is raising a question of who and who is not a citizen. And why are we giving Election Commission too much power to determine citizenship? And why? Every time there is a delay in jurisdiction, we fall in the same trap. We fall in the same trap that we discussed right now, fait accompli. Even before the court gives its decisions, people are being subjected to a certain set of laws, and that is what is happening. Voting rights, equality, democratic participation, all of them are now questionable in a big way. So the Supreme Court must decide. It should immediately take a decision on the constitutional validity of SIR rather than only raising procedural questions, because now, if the court gives its decision 5 years later or 2 years later, there is no use. By that time, SIR would already have been done across India. Again, we are falling in the same trap. Fait accompli. Then what's the point of crying or regretting in retrospect? Too many people would already have been disenfranchised. That's the question by this article. Very good, aspirant. Mail out migration is more interstate. Women out migration is more marriage bound, it is more intrastate within the same state, particularly when you talk about northern Indian states. And yes, the name change after marriage, all these are valid issues which are constantly invoking the debate between Form 8 and Form 7. Yes? So, quickly, the question now. It should be simpler. That's a very valid thing you've said, Ramu. Now that you're raising this issue, your issue is very, very potent for GS paper 4 also, GS paper 2 also. Tomorrow, if you get a question on what are your recommendations, then these are the points you must highlight. That proving citizenship cannot be such a difficult job. After all the principles are valid and laid down under Part 2 of the Constitution, and still, repeated reinterpretations and constitutional authorities are making a mess out of that, right? Totally. Now, question. Consider the following statements regarding SIR of electoral roll in India. One, the RPA Act explicitly, clearly authorizes the Election Commission of India to conduct all India electoral roll revision without recording specific reason. Second, the Supreme Court of India, in the Lal Babu Hussain versus Electoral Registration Officer 1995, said that removal of names from electoral roll must be based on individual notice and a reasonable doubt on these people. 3. Form 7 of the electoral process allows any citizen to object to the inclusion of another person's name in the electoral roll. Which of these statements are correct? Answers are rolling in. I'm so happy to see that. It all was initiated from Reshma, then it came Amanya, then Shlok, Sadhana, Satya, Vikash, Madhav, Sitaram, Saurav, Ashish, my dear Terukula, Shlok, Elvin, Diya, Apex. Very good. Very good. What about Akhtar? What about Bulbul? What about Zahir? What about my dear Kojumba? Yes? Anup answers. No split verdict is what Shlok says. So let's understand, is the first statement correct? It is totally wrong, because we all understand that under the Representation of People Act 1950, the Election Commission of India, in its power of Article 324 to 326 article of the Indian Constitution, can conduct an SIR, but only for recorded, proven reasons, not arbitrarily, not out of the blue. So the first statement is incorrect. So we can safely eliminate C and D. Now, looking at the second statement, in this case, was this said? Yes. Under this case, that is exactly what the Honorable Court said, that if you are deleting somebody's name, at least do it on the basis of strong suspicion and give them some reason behind your doubt and issue them a notice. Don't do it in an arbitrary manner. So, correct. Third statement, Form 7 allows us to object to the inclusion of somebody's name in the electoral roll. Is that valid? Totally valid. So we can say here, the answer will be 1 second. Is that valid? Yes, it's valid. So we can say that the answer should be B in this case. So really well answered. And whether it's AB, whether it's Tuklu, whether it's Rishabh, Kavish, or whether Sumed, whether it's Kabilan, Kabifan, or whether it's Aditya, Rajneshwar, a big round of applause to everyone. Absolutely correct. Totally right. So well done, very well performed. Quickly, second article. Are we not going to talk about President Trump today? Let me think. Are we going to talk or not? Yes, we will talk. Be happy, Shlok, we will talk. Maybe not directly, but indirectly, because we are looking at India and Brazil relationship. So there, nothing is complete in BRICS without the mention of Quad. And when I mention Quad, I will talk about President Trump, so don't worry. Your favorite celebrity will come here. Calm down, wait and be patient. Okay, second article, editorial page. The CPI based revision exercise measures a slice of life. Okay, so this is coming from GS paper 3. GS paper 3, because we are talking about consumer price index and wholesale price index. Broadly, we are talking about inflation and how to measure inflation. We are looking at the increasing prices of goods and commodities and how does that impact citizens in India. Now, in the newspaper today, there are many more small and hybridized articles also about how this time in the budget 26, there is hardly any change done in the case of direct taxes. In fact, if you believe, there are a lot of students of mine, my old students, who often keep mailing me or who keep, just touch basing me. And sometimes they are asking that why in the budget, nothing has been done to take care of the ordinary Indian taxpayers. Why has the government not done anything to change the direct tax structure? So, my reply here would be to all of those who are wondering about that is that this budget has already made it clear that the government wants to now focus on deep, long term structural changes. And the government is therefore repeatedly focusing upon the capex aspect of the budget, the capital expenditure aspect of the budget. The government has not given too much focus this time on the revenue expenditure. In fact, if you analyze the budget, and if you see the economic survey and then you compare it with the 16th Finance Commission recommendations, there is one theme that's coming out very clearly that all these three are focusing on long-term structural changes. Everybody is busy talking about capital side of money spending. Nobody really is now in, even defense also, defense budget also. Nobody is interested in looking into revenue aspect of the expenditure. Nobody. So that is the main reason the government hasn't focused on direct tax structure. More focus has gone this time on indirect tax structure. So that's something we should remember. Okay. Yes, Divya, absolutely. Every day 9:30 a.m. That's true. Thank you, Madhav. Yes, in the long term, we need to benefit everyone, Satya. Totally true. Totally true. Very good, Vikash. So now let's quickly break down this article, but just slightly technical, but I'll make it super easy for you. Now listen carefully. This article is saying India is updating the base year of consumer price index. We are upgrading that. We are updating that. Updating that from 2012 to 2024. Why? So that inflation measurement shows the recent economic trend and the spending expenditure pattern of Indian economy in the last 12 years. Too many changes have come. From 2012 to 24, there are external geopolitical factors. There is a volatility in the value of rupee. There is a change in the average income of middle class Indians. There is a total change in domestic consumption pattern. And the prices of goods and commodities has also revised tremendously from 2012 to 2024 in the last 12 years. So therefore, we need to adjust the baseline and we are updating it to 2024 now to measure how inflation is actually determining the spending of people in India. So what does this article say? Article says CPI. Now, when you look at Consumer Price Index measures inflation. What is inflation? The rise in the price of goods, commodities, and services, where the prices of all these commodities are increasing after every interval. Yes, the price is getting hiked. Now, the Consumer Price Index measures inflation by measuring the prices of goods and services that are used by people like you and me, by households in India. This is a micro level assessment of price, a micro level measurement. Micro level because we are looking into per capita, per unit. How are households spending? And how much is the price change in goods and services that are being used by houses, by people, per capita, unit by unit? That is what we are trying to see. Ultimately, we are looking at the purchasing power of the consumer. Why is it so important to measure? It is important to measure because this shows the real cost of living in India. Now, you may wonder, Sometimes, why do people often say that in India, ease of living is not there? In fact, there are many such cities globally. Say, for example, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore. In India, we can say Bengaluru, Gurugram. Then you can talk about New York. You can talk about many other places like London. You may have heard a lot of people do a purchasing power parity, absolutely, a PPP comparison between all these cities. And then they say these are the most difficult to survive in cities in the world. In these cities, it's too expensive to live. Ease of living is not there. Everything is very expensive because inflation is too much. Yes. So the purchasing power of the consumer is lowest in these cities. We often do that even to calculate at the level of IMF, at the level of Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. When we create the poverty line, it's often done by measuring the PPP, purchasing power parity across various countries. So here, the actual cost of living of the people in your society is measured through CPI, Consumer Price Index. It will also help the central bank, Reserve Bank of India, to decide interest rate. For example, we all know when tariff increased to 50% in 2025 by America on Indian economy, the biggest solution was provided by the Indian government through RBI and GST reform. Through GST reform, what did we do? We removed all the essential services, basic medicine, basic toiletries, basic food items from 5 to 0%, so that consumers maintain domestic demand. They have liquidity. Similarly, at the level of RBI immediately reduced its cash reserve ratio. Now the banks do not have to put too much reserve with RBI. Banks can have more money, more liquidity. Simply, RBI adjusted repo rate also. RBI really wanted the commercial banks to give loans to the people. Why? RBI wanted to pump liquidity in the system. We were grappling with tariff impact. People were worried if export income declines, at least the domestic income should be on the higher side. That shows purchasing power, and it is severely impacted by the level of inflation. The more the inflation, the lesser purchasing power people will have, because everything becomes expensive from goods to services to commodities. How will I spend if everything becomes double the price? I can't, right? My basket of consumption will suffer. That is also the reason why we keep telling Indian government that start providing minimum support price to pulses, start giving it on millets. You can't only give it on wheat and rice, because people will buy what is affordable. Naturally, why will they buy expensive things? And the more government subsidizes rice and wheat, people will buy rice and wheat. You see, that's the basic logic of economics, right? So now what is happening? CPI will therefore determine how much money are people spending on maintaining a normal life standard, food, basket of consumption. It also therefore helps RBI in deciding how much interest rate should I put, how much reserve ratio, how much repo rate should I calculate. It is definitely used for calculating salary, pension, welfare adjustment. Say for example, today I am saying under the VBGRAM bill, I will only give rupees 50 per day to a laborer. But can I say the same thing for 2030 also? That by 2030 also, I will only give 50 rupees per day to a laborer, while the amount of rupees I am giving has not changed. The amount of labor he is doing has also not changed, but something else has changed. Inflation has changed. In these 4 years to come, inflation would have jumped up. And what happens now? The 50 rupees that is valuable to him today will not be valuable to him in another 4 years to come. Its real value would have fallen down, say, by 25 rupees. It is almost like I'm giving him 25 rupees now after 4 years, because inflation eats the value of money. It erodes the value of money. That is why we keep saying invest money. Money that is not invested is idle. It's non-productive. Inflation eats your money naturally, right? So CPI is used by government to determine how much to increase salary, how much to give in pension, how much to improve in welfare adjustment. And that is also the reason why, as so many people were arguing in the defense budget, why are we trying to give now less money for salary and pension? Why do we need Agniveer? Now you see what is the logic. This is the logic. Because the more you keep on piling up your revenue expenditure, the more you do that, the more you will have to adjust inflation into that. The value of money will fall as inflation increases. Purchasing power is the thing that goes down. Yes, this is CPI. So today what is happening? We need to change this CPI. Why do we need to change? Because since 2012, lifestyle has changed. Prices have changed. Oil prices have changed. When oil prices increase, the final demand of goods, food, and commodities also increase, and oil prices have been fluctuating. Currency has been depreciating. Yes, India has urbanized also. Service sector has expanded. Digital and online spending is now happening. People are spending on entertainment, traveling, healthcare, well-being. Household consumption pattern has totally changed. For an average Indian middle class person, consumption has increased into protein-based foods, healthcare industry, psychological well-being, traveling, high education. That means people are spending much more. So if we do not update the baseline for CPI from 2012 to 2024, we will never understand the real amount of money Indians are actually spending. And then how will RBI do its repo and cash reserve estimation? It cannot. So to measure properly the basket and the weightage of consumption, we must update CPI. Okay, that is why we have done it. And what is it based upon? Now, in this new consumer price index, we are basing this index on household consumption expenditure survey for 2023 to 2024. And the new consumption basket is now reflecting, what is it reflecting? Modern consumption, modern spending by middle class Indians, changed weightage for goods and services. One new thing has happened. This time in the CPI, we are also measuring online services, internet based services like telecom, like electronic airfare, the price of air tickets, electronic, SIM cards, telecommunication, internet cost, all that is also being included. Consumer assisted data collection has been introduced. Data will be collected online. Therefore, more use of official administrative data, railway price, fuel price, public distribution system item, how expensive is that? All these will be now combined into CPI based on international standards. So that is something I want you to know. But a lot of students are confused between CPI and WPI. So let me quickly make you understand before I show the question. Listen carefully. Now, CPI, Consumer Price Index, and Wholesale Price Index, they both measure inflation. Yes, but at different levels of the economy. If CPI is micro, WPI is macro. How? CPI measures the change in goods, prices of goods and services that consumers actually buy every day. So, it reflects the cost of living for households, and it is used by RBI in targeting and controlling inflation. But what is WPI? WPI is different. Wholesale Price Index measures the change in prices of goods at the manufactured product level, not at the consumer level. It is measured at the producer level, at the bulk production level, not for retail, for wholesale production. Okay, that's the difference. WPI is not measuring what you and I are spending. It is measuring the changes in prices of good at wholesale or production level, manufacturer level, mainly covering bulk goods and manufactured products. It does not include services. Very, very important. Excellent, Terukula. It does not include services. So WPI only measures goods. Very good, Reshma. Not services. And that too goods at the wholesale, bulk and manufacturer level. If I was to say in a very simple way, I would say CPI tracks inflation felt by common people like you and me, and WPI shows inflation at the producer level or at the wholesale market level. Is that clear? Is that clear to everyone? Okay. If that's clear to everyone, let's quickly have a question, a practice question. Now, this will be tricky for those to whom concept is not clear. And if the concept is not clear, I will then release a special video then comparing WPI and CPI if it's not clear to us. Very well explained by Ramu. Price changes at bulk producer level, not services. Can we have a look at the question? Consider the following statements. Yes, Vikash, that's also a difference there. Absolutely. That's also a difference there. Who releases these indexes respectively? Very good. Now, statement 1 says, Both CPI and WPI measure price changes at the retail level. Second, CPI includes services whereas WPI excludes services. 3. WPI gives a higher weightage to manufactured goods as compared to CPI. And 4. CPI is compiled, created by the officer of Economic Advisor, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So, which of these statements are valid here? Which of these statements are valid? Is there a split verdict? Yes, that's what Shlok says. Time to invoke the Lokpal power. A, C, and some students said B, but majority confusion is between A and C. Which is valid, which is not valid? Is it A or is it B or is it C or is it D? Split verdict. Let's break it down. No clear verdict. Justice Nagaratna versus Justice Vishwanathan controversy. Okay. First statement is correct. Wrong. They don't. I told you consumer price index is measuring inflation at retail level. Wholesale price index is measuring inflation in goods only at manufacturer or wholesale level. So first is not correct. If first statement is not correct, can we then exclude B and D? Yes, let's eliminate. Second, CPI includes services, whereas WPI largely excludes them. Totally correct. That's what we said. Wholesale price index does not include services, only goods and commodities. But CPI does, WPI does not. So second is correct. Now that second is correct, let's hold on to third one. Third, WPI gives weightage to manufactured goods compared to CPI. Is that correct? Totally correct. That is what is different. Wholesale price index is only about goods and commodities. That too at the bulk wholesale level, not services, unlike CPI, which is also into services. So therefore, what can we say? WPI has a high weightage for manufactured goods, much high. Correct. Third is also correct. Let's hold on to the fourth. CPI is made by Commerce and Industry Ministry. This statement is not correct. Why is it not correct? Why is it not correct? Because CPI is compiled by Ministry of Statistics. Yes, it is compiled by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. It is not compiled by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, whereas WPI, the Wholesale Price Index, is compiled by the Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So, then what happens? Fourth is also not correct. If fourth is also not correct, then which is the right answer? A should be the right answer. So, the final answer is A. So, big round of applause because firstly, most of the students answered correctly. Secondly, those who did not have thought a lot. And thirdly, because everybody is using too much energy in trying to understand an answer. And that is what should be rewarded. Right and wrong is secondary. The effort that we make is very good. And this is a very, very prelims like question. Why I made this question like this? Because I have completely followed the pattern of 2023 UPSC prelims. Okay, so from today onwards until your prelims exam, let me try to create every question in exactly prelims pattern. Let us not make easy questions now. Let's try to push up the question levels to moderate and tough. It's not difficult. Not at all. It's not a problem to answer wrong. You just should know the right answer. Yes? So even if you have answered C, you've tried very well. I'm really proud of you. Very well done. Everyone, each one of you, my dear, who's trying. And for those who are not still answering, please answer. But it's okay to be wrong. Answer, practice, and exam. This is going to support you. Yes. From tomorrow, we'll have more such confusing questions. Definitely, we need to do that. Okay. So A is the valid one. Thank you for your kind explanation as always, Ramu. Let's proceed with the third article. Quickly, let's proceed there. Now, the third article is very repetitive with my students, with all of you. From GS Paper 3, Indian Economy, Finance Commission, Article 280 of the Indian Constitution. I have done this issue at least 4 to 5 times. So, I am not going to do a detailed repetition of this article, but I did not want to miss it either. So I will summarize it in 2 minutes because it's a repetition for us. Of course, Shlok, but you need to tell me which topic specifically. Okay, very good, Terukula. Article 280 Finance Commission, Article 281 the horizontal and vertical devolution that happens. Very good. Let's quickly now break this article down. Have states gained anything from the 16th Finance Commission? It's an age-old controversy that's going on in India, as the 16th Finance Commission has now been created. Of course, it has been created under Article 280 of the Honorable Indian Constitution for the period of 2026 to the period of 2031. It is going to be chaired by Mr. Arvind Panagaria, and it has recommended continuing the existing system, same system as was there in 15th Finance Commission when it comes to tax devolution between the center and the states, with only minute changes that are being suggested now. Having a look closely, we all understand that most of the states in India, especially South Indian states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Maharashtra, Karnataka, all of them were requesting to the Finance Ministry that this time under Finance Commission try to create the divisible pool of taxation, the divisible pool of taxes from which money is then percolated down in the form of vertical devolution to the states, from center to the states, should be made at least 50%. Or some states said if you cannot make it 50%, at least try to make it 45 to say 48%. At least some changes are important from the existing 15th Finance Commission of 41% divisible pool. States are feeling that they are not getting enough money, and the main reason they are not getting money is because although according to the states, the central government keeps on increasing its own revenue resources by putting random, by putting arbitrary surcharges and cesses, surcharge and cess. But these surcharges and cess are not a part of the divisible pool. They are not a part of the divisible pool. So therefore, in reality, the amount of divisible pool that should be given to the states is declining every year. This is the major complaint raised by most of the states. Second complaint was most of the states, especially South Indian states, are saying we contribute much more money to India's total GDP. We have been able to control our fertility rate to below 2.1 replacement level fertility. We have reduced poverty, we have improved welfare schemes, and still we are not getting enough money in horizontal devolution between states, because most of the money continues to go to poorer states on the basis of age-old criteria like income gap and poverty and population. That's what the states were complaining. But what has the Finance Commission done? Once again, the Finance Commission has done something same as the budget and the defense budget has done. Finance Commission says, I am not considering the immediate demands of the state, and therefore we are not going to increase the divisible pool beyond 41%. The same divisible pool is being continued right now. States are complaining it has reduced our total share because of cess and surcharge, but central government said no, we are going to continue that at 41%, refusing the demand of states to include cess or surcharge also in the divisible pool. That's one thing. Second thing, the center also says, I need more fiscal space. I need more money for defense, infrastructure, and national priorities. That's about vertical devolution. What about horizontal devolution? Now, when money comes from center to states, it is then distributed among various states on the basis of many different kinds of criterias. Today, the problem is for distribution among states, the Finance Commission has introduced a new criteria, and this is known as SGDP. SGDP, State Gross Domestic Product. Now we will also try to give more money to those states who will contribute more in terms of a higher GDP. If states will contribute more to India's GDP, they will get more money under Finance Commission. Why? Because finally the Commission has decided to reward efficiency and economic performance. But the bigger question still remains. Although the Commission has also said that now population will not be a criteria for giving money to states, but poverty and income gap continue to be big criteria. Why? South Indian states are angry. They are saying, what is the point of including a new criteria called as state GDP contribution when you are still bothered about poverty and income distance? But the Finance Commission says India has pledged itself to socialistic democracy, we can slowly, eventually try to move towards a complete efficiency and performance based system, but it cannot be done immediately. GSDP, same thing, state GDP, gross state domestic product. Yeah, you can say it either way. GSDP, which means state share of gross domestic product. Okay. Yes. So now the commission says, and hence, suddenly we cannot change everything. We need a phased and a slow change. So even today in India, we will continue to include equality based factors like income gap, some population criteria, and the total area of the state. Bigger states, states with a much higher population, and poor states, they will need extra support and extra hands holding from the central government. And this has caused a small increase. Increase is there, but a very, very small increase in the share of southern and the western states who are top performers. They will be giving some rewards under SGDP or GSDP, but the bigger criteria still will continue to favor poverty, income distance, and backwardness among some states. So therefore, most of these states are unhappy right now. They are saying the amount of benefit that we have received is very microscopic. It's not much. Overall, the central government is maintaining much higher share for itself, and it continues to reward northern and central states at the cost of top performers like southern and western states. So we can conclude by saying that Finance Commission of the 16th Finance Commission this time has largely maintained status quo, not much change. Status quo in the central state fiscal transfers, while very slowly, very gradually shifting the formula to balance equality with efficiency when it comes to resource distribution. But overall, the complaints continue to be there. While states are feeling deprived, they are feeling deprived because of lesser divisible pool total. And when it comes to horizontal, they are feeling cheated. They still feel that population and poverty are predominant criteria. So there are other controversies also, like the central government not spending much on welfare schemes. Example, Manrega changed to VBGRAM. Example, PM Shri. Example, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Example, Anganwadi, Asha workers. Nowhere the government has increased its welfare expenditure. Although there are certain good things that we are now trying to give extra money to, say, urban local bodies. We are also trying to now provide money for more, say, coordinated urbanization. All these things are positive. But still, overall, if you see the sentiment says that the central government still has not really taken into consideration majority demands coming from the southern Indian states. So that is what we can estimate from this argument. Definitely, reducing fertility will enable population control. It is a very right step in the path of development, but at the same time, it is a very complex issue. It cannot be achieved in short term for sure. So therefore, there are both arguments to this. When fertility rate becomes too low, like what's happening in certain Deccan Indian states, again that raises a question on demographic potential of that state. So you see, it's a very complex, vicious circle that we are talking about. Okay. Question. Consider the following statements regarding Finance Commission and tax devolution. Answers are coming in. Terukula, Shlok, Sadhna, Sneha, Santosh, Kritik, Reshma, Ashish. Well done. 1. Article 280 of the Constitution provides for the constitution of a Finance Commission every 5 years. Second, cess and surcharge levied by the union government, they form a part of the divisible pool of taxes. 3. The 16th Finance Commission has increased states' share in the divisible pool to 40%. Which of these are the valid answer? Now, I would say for my students, now again, I'm repeating, it doesn't matter about other people, but for my Hindu batch students, this is such an easy question. Such an easy question. Yes, Urupam, Shinobi, Kavish, Saurav, Hika. Am I wrong? Madhav, Sitaram. Yes, Vikash, Ramu. Yes, Adi. Santosh, am I saying the wrong thing? Aman? For Urupam? For my students, was it a tough question? For my students, it's the easiest question I can ever give them. I know your potential now. It is a piece of cake for you. Piece of cake, literally. And that's why everybody is right in answering. Indeed, the answer is A. And I'm proud of you for answering that. For you, it's the easiest. I know that because you are conceptually clear. So for you, it should be super easy. Totally, first statement is valid. Second is incorrect. Cess and surcharge, we have spoken about it. They are not a part of the divisible pool. States wanted it to be a part of divisible pool, but these are special targeted taxes that the government puts to increase its own revenue. Central government's revenue increases while it doesn't increase the divisible pool of share for the states. Wrong. Three, absolutely wrong. 16th Finance Commission continues to use the same criteria as the 15th one, 41%. Yes, 41%. Focusing on the capex aspect of the economy. Very, very good. So well answered. Brilliant answer is the right answer. Excellent. We are done with the lengthy articles for the day. Now some time for interesting discussions. And Shlok was missing President Trump. Let's slowly go and meet President Trump. But before you meet him, there are two small things that you have to do. One small article is from Art and Culture, GS paper 1. Very interesting. After a long time, I'm looking at art and culture. What are we trying to talk about? We will do. We will do also the monthly revision, and soon I'm also doing the science and technology for 2025. That lecture is also in the pipeline. So you will get to see all of that. Okay. All right. Now, this article quickly, a front page article. Tamil Brahmi inscriptions have been discovered in Egypt. Wow. Shedding light on ancient trade links. Now, Egypt is again in the news. It was in the news 2 days before as you and I were talking about Camp David Accords. You and I have discussed in detail 2 days before Camp David Abraham and Oslo Accords. As we were talking about the Gaza Israel controversy, we have seen the map of Egypt and we have seen the Camp David Accords, the cold peace deal, the Nobel Prize thing. I think you understood what I'm talking about. Egypt, I also discussed with you when we were talking about another country, Ethiopia. We were looking at the what is the name? Haley. See, what am I saying? Haley Gubby volcano, the Shield volcano. Then we had also seen the big map of this entire region. We also saw the Horn of Africa, very good. The Sinai Peninsula controversy, Camp David Accords, the Cold Peace Treaty, Pretoria Agreement with regards to Eritrea and Ethiopia. Brilliant, absolutely, my dear. Today again we are looking at Egypt, but this time we are looking at Egypt from a more science, from a more ancient science, from a more art and culture aspect. So let me quickly summarize the article for you, okay? Listen now. Article says a new archaeological discovery has happened in Egypt, which is providing a strong example, strong evidence of trade and cultural give and take, cultural link between ancient Tamilagam, ancient Tamil Nadu, and other parts of India and the Roman Empire during the 1st and the 3rd centuries the 3rd and the 1st centuries CE. How interesting. How interesting. Culture and trade link between India, parts of Tamil Nadu area to Roman Empire from 1st and 3rd century CE. Now two researchers, very famous researchers, names are not important. They are the one who have found about 30 inscriptions. All these inscriptions are in what language? Tamil Brahmi language. They are in Prakrit language and Sanskritic language inside tombs found in the Valley of Kings in an area that is known as Theban necropolis. Theban necropolis, where usually these people used to bury the dead bodies of various people. Necropolis, where the dead are buried. So many Tamil Brahmi, Prakrit and Sanskritic inscriptions, coins were found here. How interesting. Now these inscriptions are mostly in the form of small graffitis, written material where Indian visitors, can you imagine? Indian visitors, tourists had written their names. Polis is city, necro means where you bury the dead. Handwritten inscriptions from Indian visitors who had written their name, showing people from northwest India, from western Indian states as well as southern Indian states who had gone to Egypt. How? Through the Indo-Roman trade network. Indo-Roman trade network. And these inscriptions were found inside along with Greek language. So first they were found in Prakrit, Sanskrit and Brahmi. Also they were found in the Greek language. What does it show? It shows that Indian visitors followed an existing tradition that every time they would go to these areas, they would write their name. They would write their name and come back. They would register the fact that they had visited there. Yes, very good, Vikash. James Prinsep and Brahmi connection, totally. So now one important name that has been found here is known as Chikai Koran. I have written everything in the PDF, so don't worry about that. Chikai Koran. That's the name that has been found here. It has both Tamil and Sanskritic linguistic connections, and it is also linked to the Chera period. To the Chera period. To the Chera period and Sangam literature period. Okay? So linked with Chera period and the Sangam period. Now I remember a few weeks back we had also spoken about Kiladi excavations near Tamil Nadu. During Kiladi excavation also we were talking about the Chalcolithic cultures, the stone copper culture, Chalcolithic culture. Today again we are talking about how Chikai Koran, the word is found repeatedly here, having connections with both Tamil and Sanskrit language, belonging to Chera period, belonging to Sangam literature. And same kind of names have also been found in many other destinations. Now for the purpose of exam, I have written about these 3 destinations. Let me quickly talk about them. One destination was Berenike. One destination where these things have been found are, I repeat, Berenike. What is Berenike? Berenike is an ancient Roman port on the Red Sea. Recently, we had spoken about INS Kondinya, Oman, Dilmun and Magan. Dilmun and Makan also you can call it. Yes? Oman and Bahrain. As we talk about Meluha, Indus Valley culture, Harappan culture. Today we are looking at on the Red Sea coast. What did we last study on the Red Sea coast? What did we last study on the Red Sea coast? Which port? Port of Sudan. Port of Sudan we studied, right? Who is trying to own the port of Sudan now? Russia. Why is Russia trying to take port of Sudan? Why? Because Tartus port has very good terracotta. Tartus port has gone out of Russia's hand in Syria because Al-Assad has fallen down now. No more Al-Assad in Syria. Now the time has come for Al-Shara. He's an American ally. Yes. So Russia is taking port of Sudan in Red Sea. Yes. The same Red Sea. We have an ancient Roman port also known as Berenike. Berenike. On the coast of Egypt it has been found. And what did it do? It was a major area connecting Roman Empire by India through the maritime trade. Second important port that has become famous is Muziris. I repeat, I've written everything here. Muziris. What is Muziris, bache? Muziris is an important ancient port on the Malabar coast. Just few days before, I was talking to you about the coast of Kerala. Yes? So now again we are talking about the same thing, Malabar coast. The present day Kerala. And this is known as Muziris port. Muziris is an important ancient port on Kerala, Malabar coast, identified with Pattanam archaeological site. Pattanam archaeological site. Third important fact, the Berenike on the Red Sea, Egypt, and the Muziris, India, Kerala coast, both are the key important stations in Indo-Roman maritime trade, and both have flourished during early, long back centuries, as we are talking about 1st and 3rd century CE. There is one more name, not directly in the article, but I want you to know about it, and this is known as Arika Medu. I repeat, if it's difficult for you, I will send mnemonics on the Telegram. Let me send it on the Telegram. I will pakka send it on Telegram, but listen carefully. Arika Medu. What is Arika Medu? Arika Medu is also an ancient port town and a site in Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Coromandel coast. Just now we spoke about the Malabar coast, where? Western coast. Now we are looking at Puducherry, the area which receives retreating monsoon, Tamil Nadu, known as Coromandel coast. Coromandel coast is also showing Indo-Roman trade from 1st and 2nd century CE. Which area? Arika Medu port. Lothal was Gujarat, Indus Valley. Very good. Correct? Correct? Three names you will remember. Berenike, Red Sea, Egypt. Muziris, Kerala, Malabar coast, India. Third, Arika Medu, Pondicherry, Tamil Nadu, Coromandel coast. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So how can we conclude this article? Now the discovery of Tamil Brahmi inscription of Egypt has provided epigraphy, another word, epigraphic evidence of strong Indo-Roman trade and cultural contacts involving people from ancient Tamilagam in the early centuries. Can we have a look at the question? This is also exactly the kind of question you get in UPSC exam. I have copied this format from UPSC 2024. Let's see, how do you find this question? With reference to ancient Indo-Roman trade, consider the following port sites. 1. Berenike. 2. Muziris. 3. Arika Medu. 4. Alexandria. Which of the following ports were directly located on the Indian coastline? Super easy question for you people. Super easy for my students, but split verdict. Time to call the Lokpal in the class. Time for Lokpal in my class. Complete split verdict. And that's a valid argument. They belong to different linguistic families. Very good. Absolutely Ramu and absolutely Reshma. Dravidian language family, Indo-Aryan language family, Australoid, the Austro-Tibetan different families. So we have different linguistic families as well. But when you look at these southern Indian languages, all these are classical languages. Why? A classical language has its own linguistic history and it has a rich, prolific history. So all these are classical languages also. So A and B or A. Okay, let's break it down. Some are saying A and some are saying B. What to do now? Case of split verdict. Let's solve it. A. We have spoken about Berenike. Where was Berenike? If we were to go back to the previous slide, we would understand Berenike is an ancient port located on the Red Sea. I have also given a comparison with port of Sudan. Red Sea near Egypt. So is it in India? It is not in India. It has not been found in the Indian coastline. So can one be true? One cannot be true. If one cannot be true, how can B be the right answer? Can we then eliminate B? We must eliminate B. Now this is what happens in UPSC as well. If you know one is not correct, you will never waste your time because only option B has one. And then you can solve a question in lesser than your targeted time period. Yes? Yes? Where is Berenike? Egypt. Can it be true? It cannot be true. What about second one? Muziris. Where is Muziris located? Let me check the slide. Muziris is located in Malabar coast, modern day Kerala. It's an ancient port that shows trade with Roman Empire. Is it in India? Absolutely Kerala. Second is correct. Third, Arika Medu. Where is Arika Medu? Coromandel coast. Arika Medu is in Coromandel coast. Where is it? Puducherry. Is it in Indian coast? Yes. Where? Tamil Nadu, Puducherry. Third is correct totally. Can C be the right answer? No. Not at all. Then, what about 4? What about Alexandria? Is Alexandria in India? Is Alexandria in India? No. Alexandria is also located in Egypt. Egypt coast, Mediterranean coast. It has a great reference with the Greek trade as well. So once again, this goes to Mediterranean coastline. So then, what should be the answer here? Only 2 and 3 are located in India, right? Making A the valid answer. None of them are located in India. No problem. No problem. No problem. If he read the question properly and if he understood the broad idea, then it's an easy question. By mistake, if you are not able to read the question, understand the question, then it's problematic. Okay? Always try to eliminate. Always use elimination that helps you save time. Yes? Yeah. So from the phonic logic also you can do it. Not a bad idea at all. From the phonic logic also you can do it. Alexandria cannot be in India. It certainly reminds you of Greek civilization. Yeah? So therefore, A is the right answer. So well tried everyone. Well attempted everyone. You've really put in the hard work and I thoroughly appreciate and admire that. We are mostly done. Allow me two quick discussions now. Okay. Now the next article is looking at Vande Mataram, India's national song. The government says today it should be played before the national anthem. What's going on? Let's quickly break it down. It's a key question of fundamental duty vis-a-vis fundamental rights in India. The Union Home Ministry has issued a guideline on the proper use and respectful use of national song Vande Mataram. According to the instructions given by the government, when both national song Vande Mataram and the revered national anthem Jan Gan Man, when they are being played at an event, then the national song should be performed first. People should stand in attention when the national song is sung or played, except if it is being played as a part of a movie, a part of a cinema, then that's fine. But apart from that, if it's being played on an occasion, whether it be any occasion, you have to show complete bodily respect to the national song Vande Mataram. The guidelines are also clarifying which occasions are appropriate when Vande Mataram may be played or may be sung, like arrival or departure of the president or governor at a formal state function, like unfurling of India's revered national flag, like ceremonial and cultural events, community songs in colleges, universities, and schools. The government has emphasized maintaining bodily respect, decorum, proper procedure while performing the national song. Now, these guidelines are also trying to standardize the protocol for singing, playing the national song, and ensure the respect for all national symbols in India, all of them, during official and public events. But the bigger takeaway from this article should be, which fundamental duty are we trying to talk about right now? This is Fundamental Duty 15AA. We all know fundamental duties. 51A, Article 15(1)(a). We all understand the Swarna Singh committee. We all understand we total had about 10 fundamental duties until we added the last 11th, which deals with the duty of every Indian citizen to provide their child or any minor the right to education, Article 21A. Yes, absolutely. So this duty, when you have to show a duty which says it is the duty of every Indian citizen to abide by the constitution and to respect its ideals and institutions, including national flag and national anthem, comes from fundamental duty 51AA. Fundamental duty 51AA. Always remember. In last 2 months, we have discussed another fundamental duty 51AG, which spoke about duty to protect environment, ecology. That's a fundamental duty not just for citizens, also for companies and organizations registered at local bodies. We were looking at the companies law that time. Now we are looking at duty 51AA. You must respect national symbols at public events. National anthem, national flag. Although, again one thing, although the constitution does not specifically, I repeat, the constitution specifically, now the paradox is our Indian constitution specifically only mentions national anthem and national flag. It does not exclusively mention national song, but the government says respecting national song Vande Mataram is an understood part of showing respect to national symbol and heritage. It is an understood part of Article 51AA, that is fundamental duty in India. Yes? Okay. Is that clear? Well done. Well done. Quickly now, the last quick article for the day. Shlok was consistently missing President Trump. Favorite celebrity in my class. always the white elephant in the room, who's always with us even if he's not there. His presence is ubiquitous right now as we talk of the news. So here he comes again. As the last article, we are looking at India-Brazil relationship right now. We all understand that India is going to be the chair for the BRICS summit in 2026. We have also seen that India has been trying to create a very delicate balance on the one hand between bodies like BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which are primarily dominated by China and Russia, and on the other hand, maintaining a strong relationship with the platform called Quad, which has quite the opposite grouping members led by America, Japan, those who are practically anti-China, those who are practically anti-China in sentiment. And India has always tried to maintain this balance. Why? Because although if you look at BRICS and SCO, India does need a strong relation with Russia. It has always had a strong relation. Plus, India also benefits from increasing bilateral trade from China. Obviously, we are dependent on China for critical minerals and API in pharmacies. But China is also one country which keeps on spreading its extreme expansionist agenda in the South and East China and Indo-Pacific area. To protect Indian coast and to protect the Indo-Pacific, India is therefore trying to coordinate with countries of Quad, including America, US, Japan, so that Chinese monopoly can also be controlled and tackled with, right? The same agenda India showed when India has signed a deal with UK as well as EU. I'm talking about the recently concluded free trade agreements. Yes, very good. Very, very good, Terukula. Now, as we are looking at this article, we all know that finally Brazilian President Mr. Lula da Silva will be coming to India in February 2026 with a large business delegation of about 260 companies. Why is he coming? To strengthen India-Brazil relations, especially in trade, technology, defense, biotechnology, and space cooperation. Both the countries are trying to expand bilateral trade and diversify economic cooperation. Both these have been victims of American 50% tariff in the past. India is already, now listen carefully, India is already an importer of so many items from Brazil. Plus, India is a great exporter also. If you look at India's exports to Brazil, then India is an important supplier of medicines to Brazil. Medicines to Brazil. And what does Brazil do? Brazil gives India oil, sugar, ethanol, and iron ore. All these are coming to India from Brazil. But both the countries are also discussing about Brazilian aircraft company. Now, there's a very famous aircraft company in Brazil named as Embraer. Embraer company. It's an aircraft company. Yesterday, we were looking at duopoly, a phenomena in Indian civil aviation sector. Duopoly, the monopolistic war between Indigo and Air India. We also looked at the duopoly in telecommunications between Jio and Airtel. We did that, right? Now, once again, we are looking at the civil aircraft segment. We are looking at aircraft company Embraer that will be now entering Indian market, and we are also planning to open a Brazilian trade promotion office in New Delhi. All these are developments happening, but the relationship is beyond trade. Very good, Vikash. Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, coming back to this article, beyond trade, also there is an important relation between these both countries. Remember, both these are the voices of Global South. Both these support each other when it comes to India's membership in United Nations Security Council permanent seat. They are also talking about strategic cooperation. They are looking at coordination in multilateral platforms like BRICS, including discussions on global governance, yes, and UNSC reforms. Now, I want you to know few more facts about Brazil. I want you to know few more facts about Brazil. But for that, all my dear students will have to come to the map. Please come to the map. Last year in 25, you and I have thoroughly grilled our minds over this place called Venezuela, over a place called Trinidad and Tobago Islands, over a place called Icacos Point in Trinidad, very near Venezuela. We saw the capturing of Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro by American president. We saw the Caribbean Sea here. Every time being targeted by President Trump in the name of controlling narcotic business. At the same time, we have also seen countries like Colombia in the border. Now, time comes to have a look at another country named as Brazil. Did something happen in Brazil in 2025? Yes. Tericula told us a little while back that Brazil, in fact, a place in Brazil called Belém, which is located at the heart of Amazon rainforest, was the host of COP30 summit, where a new theme for climate coordinated and integrated efforts to mitigate climate change were developed, known as Mutira. This is the Belém Brazil summit. Yes. Now let's talk about few more things. Now Brazil is located in South America, Latin America, which today is the victim of Dundro doctrine. It spans northern, southern and western hemisphere. That's unique. And Brazil is the fifth largest country in the world. If you look at the size area, it is the fifth largest country in the world. But if you look at South or Latin America, then Brazil is the largest country in South America, both by area and by numbers. Yes, the Mercosur, a deal which is being severely criticized by farmers in South America, also comes in the picture here. Totally critic. Not just muted out, TFFF also. Very good. Now, Brazil is the largest country in South America. Largest country. In terms of population, in terms of land area. What about the boundaries of Brazil? Now, tomorrow, if you get a question in prelims about Brazil's boundaries, you know there is a very easy way to learn the boundaries. No need to go for a difficult mnemonic. Can I tell you that strategy? In a simple way, you can remember, bache, that Brazil is the country that shares borders with all countries of South America except Chile and Ecuador. So, except Ecuador and except Chile, Brazil primarily shares, except this small country here, Ecuador, and except this Chile, the long, thin country here. Brazil shares borders with all, yes, that's the trick, except Ecuador and except Chile. So chill. Bacha, chill. I am saying chill. Chill because except Chile and except Ecuador, Brazil shares boundaries with all South American countries, so chill. Except Chile and except Ecuador, all the countries are sharing boundary with the largest country, Brazil. Yes, very good. Major revolution by farmers, chip. Correct. Now, India and Brazil are members together. Now, this is a major question. Last time when we were discussing this question between India, Myanmar and Malaysia, there was a huge confusion that we created. Yeah, that was a good strategy. First, we created a big confusion regarding Ganga Mekong project, regarding BIMSTEC and ASEAN. A big confusion we created, and then finally we solved that confusion. Today, if I ask in my class, I can promise you, all students will thoroughly remember who is a member of which grouping. Let's do something similar right now. Let's do it. What? Do India and Brazil, this is not a part of this article, but we should know. Do India and Brazil share membership in any regional grouping? Do India and Brazil share membership with each other in any regional grouping? Yes or no? Yes, they do. Which are these regional groupings? Let's talk about them. Before I say that, also remember one thing, something like what Vikash was also saying. Brazil is also famous for its dry grasslands known as Pampas grasslands. I'll write down here. Brazil is also very famous for its Pampas grasslands. Okay, very famous. Pampas grassland. Yesterday I told you about another grasslands from Kutch area in Gujarat. These were Bunny grasslands, from where we have a wetland now. Bunny grassland, largest in Asia. Cheer Bati phenomena. Shlok was saying, I have seen that phenomena. Now we are talking about Pampas from Brazil, and also remember, Brazil has one of the largest wetland. World's largest tropical wetland. It is an ecosystem known as Pantanal. Pantanal ecosystem. one of the largest tropical wetlands globally in Brazil. Now let's come back. Enough of bunny, enough of cheetah, enough of chirbati. Let's come to which regional groupings do India and Brazil together share? A very good example of South-South cooperation. Which are these forums? Obviously, the biggest is BRICS. The biggest is BRICS. They both share BRICS. BRICS means Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. These are the major emerging economies. Any other platform that they are sharing? Of course, G20. Do they not share G20? Very good, Terukula Hika. G20. G20 summit that happened in South Africa for the first time in 2020. The theme that came was Ubuntu. And who rejected G20? President Trump rejected. And where is the next G20 summit happening? US itself. Will he invite South Africa? He says, no, I'm not inviting. Okay. So one thing is clear, G20. Of course. Correct. Very well said. Now coming back. Very good. The Fortinella Declaration, correct. Very valid. Very, very good. Now any other agreement that they share between each other? G20, BRICS, any other can you think of? I am because we are. Any other one? Another is known as IBSA group. IBSA. IBSA Dialogue Forum. What is IBSA Dialogue Forum? India, Brazil, South Africa Cooperation Platform. Why is it created? IBSA Dialogue Platform is a trilateral development initiative between India, Brazil, South Africa, established in 2003 through Brasilia Declaration to promote South-South cooperation, democratic values and increased global influence. IBSA. I'll write down the date here. 2003. Who are the members? Brazil, India, South Africa. Trilateral Forum. Okay, IBSA. Any other can you think of? Who said COP30? Of course, COP30. They both are key participants when it comes to Paris Agreement. COP30. Agreed. Any other one can we think of? Yes, there is one more. And which is this one? This is known as Basic Group. This is known as Basic Group. What is Basic Group, bache? Very good, Reshma. Big round of applause. The G4. Absolutely, that's the fourth one. Which is the third one? Basic Group. What is Basic Group? Basic Group means Brazil, South Africa, India, China. So basic means, let me write here, Brazil, India, South Africa, and comes your China. What is the Basic Group? Formed in 2009. Formed in 2009. Why? The Basic Group is an international four-nation coalition. Why has it been created? To coordinate positions on climate change negotiations. Countries here focus on negotiating climate mitigation. So climate change is the main criteria. Yes, AB. G20, BRICS, BASIC, IBSA. Last one, as Reshma said, the G4. G4 is also there. What is G4, bache? G4 is India, Brazil, Germany, Japan. Let me quickly write down. India, Brazil, Germany, the third largest economy and the largest economy in EU, and Japan, the country where Miss Sinai Tikaichi has recently won landslide elections, posing a threat to China. So India, Brazil, Germany, Japan. These four nations are together in this G4 coalition. Very good slow. Very good slow. Why? Because all these target through G4 reforms at United Nations Security Council. They are trying to change the UNSC structure to make it more representative and more democratic, to see the representation of developing countries like India. Yes? Very good. That is the G4. Will it be clear to everyone? Will no bacha forget this? If I remind you, will everybody remember this? Yes, my dear? Each one of you I'm talking to. Will everybody remember? AB Madhav, Shlok, Vikash, Chip, Terukula, Ramu, my dear Sitaram, Santosh, Kojumba, where are you, bache? Haven't seen you for a long time. Kojumba, yes or no? Eric, Bulbul, Akhtar, Zahir, Sumed, yes, Dia. Is it clear, Adi? Everybody, we will remember India-Brazil membership. Questions like this come in the prelims. G20, BRICS, IBSA, BASIC, and G4. So for tomorrow, I would love you to remember one more thing. No problem, Shlok. I would love you to remember one more thing. There is another very important international alliance known as International Big Cat Alliance. International Big Cat Alliance, initiated by Indian effort. Just keep at the back of your mind who are the members of that. I don't want the answer right now. Just keep at the back of your mind. Okay. So thank you, Urupam, Shakti, Kritik for confirming Apex. That's it. That's the end of the class. Remember, we are running a flat 50% discount on all the sales we are running 26, 27, 28. Yes, Satya, not only do I remember everybody's name, but even if one student is not there, I come to know that you're not there. As I always say, mothers and teachers are brilliant at identifying what's going on in the minds of, I wouldn't say child, you may not like it, a student, let me put it that way. Okay, so there I can make out. Okay. Thank you so much for being a part of the lecture. That was beautiful, beautiful participation. Love each one of you. God bless each one of you. Work hard, bache. Never get stressed and believe that dreams come true when sweat comes through. And that's what we need to do. So bless you and see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Everyone, each and everyone whose name I haven't mentioned, everyone is equally dear to me. So every one of you. God